The year is 1941, and we're taking you to a small town where one family had big luck. Everyone was fleeing in the same direction, but something told Robin Rapaport's mom to take a different path, which is why he's here today to share his story.
My story of survivorship is an unusual one. If you begin with first breath, my story began in a small town in Poland, Lithuania at the time, called Głębokie. The town no longer exists. It was destroyed in the war. The real heat of the destruction of the conflict. My mother, God bless her, for some reason, she had a kind of a survivor's compass. Everybody was heading west, and she decided she was going to go east. Everybody in town that headed west waltzed into the arms of the oncoming German army and perished, or ended up in concentration camps. My mother and my beloved aunt and I, 6 months old, 5 months old, they left, heading east. I don't know how they left. Could have started on foot, a carriage of some sort. We ended up for a short period of time with partisans in the woods. They stayed there a while, I'm not sure how long. My mother was a practical nurse. They desperately needed her. My aunt was a tough little bird and a soldier in every respect. That was my Aunt Eshka. She could deadlift more than her weight. When they left, they were given 10 zloty gold pieces. This is the 10th of them, and I had it made into a ring when my aunt left it to me. They had to have used these coins to buy food, bribe guards, do whatever. And they headed east. We went through Minsk and Tomsk. Shortly after we got to each city, it was bombed by the Germans. Somehow kept going, one step away from the destruction till we ended up in Tashkent in Uzbekistan. We were taken in by a group of Tartars, Sunni Muslims. I refer to them as righteous Muslims from Głębokie to Tashkent. I don't know if you can visualize it. I never could till I actually sat down with a map. It's over 2,400 miles. Certainly they had to have gotten some train rides. The first graphic memory that I will never forget is the reunion with my father. He was in the Polish military. Ended up as a POW, and God knows how a Jew in the POW survived. We were living in a DP camp at the time outside of Linz, Austria. We had left Tashkent after the war and come west. My aunt had an arrangement with a German farmer to use a plot of land to grow some vegetables, and she saw on a tree a note from my father asking whether anyone had seen his family. And she stayed there for almost a day and a half, and my father came by, and that's how we were reunited. It's the first time I saw him, so it took a while for the two of us to kind of warm up. He desperately wanted to be super dad. All I can guess is that his experiences just knocked that snot out of him. We were sent to another DP camp called Ebelsberg. That's where my brother was born. The GIs were just great with us. They set up a soccer field for us. I saw my first movie there. We pretty much learned to speak English listening to the radio. We always kept getting moved down the list, down the visa, so we had sponsors in Canada. So we said, okay, get out of here. Pulled up to Halifax. Everybody was, along the rail watching, really happy, and kept looking for the Statue of Liberty. My dad eventually got a job in Toronto in a factory. It killed him. He wanted to be an electrical engineer, and somehow on the stamp they put down electrician. He could not convince anybody because of his language limitations. We left Toronto and moved to Providence, Rhode Island. Until I could remember some things of my own, there was just a code of silence surrounding the story. If they did talk about it, it was like picking a scab. There was a reluctance to express enjoyment. All I could do was theorize about that because nobody would talk about it. My mother especially, never able to move on. Anyone outside of the immediate family she referred to as Fremden. It's a German Yiddish word. It means outsider, foreigner. Literally anybody. Our next door neighbor was a Fremden. My wife was a Fremden. The reason for it was that while there were many righteous that risked everything to help them, there were also a lot of people that took every opportunity to turn somebody in. I'm a Vietnam veteran, so I'm familiar with PTSD. What troubles me is that we have no respect for history. The things that our predecessors went through to get us to where we are, if we had more of an awareness of that, we'd be better off as a country, I think.
We know it's been an unprecedented, hectic time with the virus, and that's consumed pretty much all your news. But we hope these special stories from brave survivors were a beacon of light and hope during this difficult time. It's important Yom HaShoah not get lost in the shuffle of day-to-day life. Thanks so much for joining us.